back from the Unpacked event in San Jose for the Galaxy S25 Ultra, which you see here. So this is, I guess, like my full review. You can see the device. It is very similar to the S24 Ultra. That is kind of apparent. There's nothing wrong with that. It's still a really great device. So we'll start off first with the design. So it has been updated slightly. It's a bit rounder. So if we actually look at the S24 Ultra, that was a bit more, I would say, like squared off. I liked it because it was slightly boxier. This one is kind of reminiscent, once again, of an iPhone. So those corners are rounded. It is 6.9 inches, so slightly larger as well. The bezel size has shrunk down a bit, which I'm a big fan of. But the big thing that I've noticed is it's a bit easier to hold in hand. The edge actually doesn't dig into your palm as much. So if you are someone that's on your device, you're using it one hand a lot, that actually won't put as much pressure in this exact point. So the design upgrade, it's welcome, and it's actually a bit more similar across the S25 Plus and the S25. They have like the same design language, but I guess on the flip side, this one isn't as unique. The colorways on the back, which I mentioned, is probably the biggest like telltale sign of the difference. So from my unboxing, the hero one, which I mentioned, was titanium silver blue. Initially like that, I ended up just leaving with the titanium gray just to be on the safe side. I think most people will rock cases on the device anyways, but around the rest of the rails, it is extremely flat, which I like. So you can obviously see the volume rocker, the on and off button in the same spot, completely blank on the top as well as the other side. And on the bottom, we've just got the standard USB-C charger, of course, SIM card slot, tool, microphone, speaker grill, and the S Pen. And because of that redesign, so if you actually look at this really closely, the S Pen slightly sticks out on the edge and the phone struggles to sit completely flat. The S Pen actually juts out ever so slightly on the bottom. And with that said, the S Pen unfortunately has been slightly nerfed. So it's something that I use typically when I get a new phone. You know, I can like scribble on the screen, I can draw, maybe I sign like the occasional doc. The one feature that I actually really liked using the S Pen was the remote shutter. Unfortunately, this no longer has Bluetooth support. So you can't set up the phone, you know, far away. You can't use this to trigger an actual photo. That is unfortunate. I'm not too sure why Samsung decided to do that. Whether it's to keep the cost down, I'm not too sure. But if you use the S Pen a lot for drawing, for any sort of like artistic work, this is the only device that you're gonna get. Obviously, you don't get that on the S25 Plus or just the standard S25. And like I said, it just lives off in the corner. For cases, honestly, most people will rock them anyways. This is the one that I've been kind of using. I tend to rock like ESR products on most of my stuff. I really like this one because it still showcases the nice colorway on the back, so whichever one you end up choosing. And it does have this little MagSafe option enabled on the back. So obviously MagSafe, technically like an iPhone feature. The phone itself doesn't have that magnet, but with this nice little case, you can use this for all your MagSafe enabled devices. A big thing for me when I'm driving, since I have a bit of an older car, I use this as like my GPS device. I just have this like clip to an air vent. And since it is MagSafe, I don't have to worry about, you know, slotting it into something to hold it. I can just kind of slap that on with the magnets. It works. So as you can see, ESR's case is pretty minimal. What I like, it does have a camera guard. So we do have an upgrade to the 50 megapixel ultra wide camera, which we'll get to in a second. And it also has a little lip along the side, so when you put your phone down, it doesn't scratch because it is an expensive device. We do have an upgrade to the Gorilla Glass, which I think is one of the biggest improvements, or one of the best features from the S24 Ultra, was actually that anti-reflective coating. So this now features Gorilla Glass Armor 2. It's actually the industry's first anti-scratch and anti-reflective coating for any smartphone, and that's one of the biggest differences, say, once again, compared to, for example, like my iPhone. The reflective coating really makes a big difference. We're here in studio with some pretty bright lights, and you can see how the iPhone reflects that way more compared to the Samsung device. So that's one of the features that I'm really a fan of. But for the rest, I do really like that decreased bezel size. It gives you like a larger screen to body ratio. It's 3120 by 1440. It's LTPO, 120 hertz refresh rate. It's one of the nicest screens on the market. And I think with that anti-reflectiveness, it's probably, I think, my favorite right now on a smartphone. So the second thing to talk about obviously is the price. So this is $12.99 for the base model. That's $256 Canadian dollars. You're looking at $17.99. Obviously, all the other specs or all the other variants will just be obviously more expensive. So the next big thing obviously is the camera, which you tend to use a lot. So at first glance, looks very similar. So we have a similar sort of layout. So we still have the 200 megapixel main. You have a 50 megapixel telephoto, the 10 megapixel 3x, 100x, but updated this year is the 50 megapixel ultra wide, which also serves as the macro camera. So when I was using it, the initial shots, the ultra wide did look a bit crispier. I think you really have to pixel peep the difference though, but maybe like in low light, that would make the biggest difference. I was actually at a concert the other night. I saw Kygo and I was taking a few pics. They did look pretty good, but the biggest difference between say like this and an iPhone, for example, is the zoom capability. And even when I was in an Uber ride home from Unpacked, I was chatting with the driver and he was saying like, oh, like the new S25 came out. Is the camera, does that still have the option to like zoom to the moon, or can you take photos of the moon? So obviously Samsung has dropped a lot of money on that like marketing campaign. The zoom on this is good. I find that the processing is actually better than the S24 Ultra. Even the 100x photos do look better. Will you use that all the time? Probably not, but if you do want that feature, they are kind of built in. Something new that I did find also is the shutter. It actually seems a bit quicker, a bit faster. Even switching between the lenses, between the zoom ranges, I found that to be really fluid and really smooth. Another new addition, very similar once again to an iPhone, are these different filters or photo styles that you can change the contrast, you can change color temp, so you can kind of choose or select like your presets. Once again, it just maybe enables a bit less editing. If you like to use Lightroom, you can just do it within the app now. But camera performance is pretty top tier. I'll do a full separate like comparison between this and other devices if you kind of want to see that. Obviously, all these sample shots for you to kind of be the judge. But the one thing that I do like for video, so it still shoots 4K 30, 4K 60, 8K 30, but it also has the option to do log, which I really like. So once again, within the camera, you can see this new Pro video feature. It's now very flat profile by just selecting that little log button up top, and you have two options. You can either grade this in post, or say you can record a quick clip here. I've done some at Unpacked as well. Just swiping up on the actual video, it gives you that quick little option to color correct right within the phone. So that's actually a really nice feature, and I'm sure if you're shooting like pro video, a lot of people just kind of shoot from their smartphones directly now. They just skip getting cameras. That's like a great option just being a content creator or someone that just has that one device. So one thing being in the content space that I actually really liked is a new audio eraser option. So once again, within video, say like you shoot something, you have the option to either kind of block out background noise, you can increase like voice volume, you can really split your audio channels. Once again, that's all just done via AI. You can do that all within the app, which I really like, and no need to, once again, bring that into Post or any other software. So that's one AI feature that I really like. Obviously, AI is a feature that Samsung mentioned a lot during their keynote. There's a ton of features that we can go through. So ones that, I wouldn't say are the most useful, like drawing assist. It's cool. How many times are you going to be generating images of a orange truck with a dog, showing that to different people in different styles? I'm not too sure. They have that same sort of feature in the portrait mode for say portrait styles, and I actually printed one at Unpacked. I thought they did me a little on the Asian side. I mean, I do have that smile, similar haircut, but once again, it's just something I guess like kind of fun. Will you use it all the time? Maybe, maybe not. That's just kind of like one of those AI features. The big one, obviously, is just holding down the button now. It is asking for Gemini, or that's Gemini built in.
The prompt is just holding down the button. Now it is asking for Gemini, or that's Gemini built in.
So you kind of get it, but it is kind of integrated with Bixby as well. So you can kind of do two things. You can obviously ask for different things. Hey, when is Manchester United playing again? And stick that in my calendar.
Got an event for 2 p.m. on January 26th called Manchester United versus Fulham FC.
So that answers like the two prompts, when is Man United playing, and now that's added into my calendar. It is unfortunately Samsung Calendar. If you are like based on that ecosystem, it's great. I'm sure you could change that to like Google Calendar, but you once again have to be quite invested into the Samsung ecosystem, which is totally fine. Another new feature is this Now bar, which essentially just gives you kind of updates that pulls a lot of data from say your accounts. It does keep you up to date with what's going on. It does live on the home screen, which also serves as a new, I would say, Samsung's version of Dynamic Island. So you can actually get that interactive. So say I bring up the stopwatch, you can see that there. And then when I close the screen, it is now on that little bar and I can access it. That also gives you like live notifications, and you can choose that to pause or interact with that right from the home screen. You can do that with things like Spotify or any other apps that can be drawn to that. So it is a nice feature if you do end up using it. And you can actually see one of the biggest, honestly, upgrades to this is One UI 7, which will not only be on the S25, that'll come across to all other older models as well. I find that it's like a really nice and clean refresh of Samsung devices in general. So here are some of the new features, for example, that you can kind of scroll through. You can customize widgets, styles. I just find it a lot cleaner and a lot sleeker looking. It's just something that you notice as you go through the phone, and say like my S24, which I haven't upgraded yet, it is a big difference. But once again, that is kind of software based. I know that Samsung will offer 7 years of updates, but that is still kind of included to older phones. So if you have something kind of recent from Samsung, a lot of those features will be coming to this. New for this, I guess, like internally, is the chipset. So performance wise, this is rocking the new Snapdragon 8 Elite. It's its own custom chip. It's not overclocked. It's actually the first like 3nm chip on a Galaxy device. Performance is honestly being great, but I said that for the S24, S23 as well. Any major thing that you throw at this device, whether you're multitasking, playing games, there is a 40% larger vapor chamber in this, so that will help dissipate heat. Performance is definitely top notch, but as it should be for a flagship, for something that cost this kind of money. Lastly is battery life. So that is still 5,000 milliamps. With that new updated chip, with the improvements to the software, the battery is, more efficient. Does it last, hours longer? No, maybe it'll last you like an extra hour. So if you are a power user, you can expect to charge this probably at the end of every night, obviously. If you're not as heavy, a day and a half, 2 would probably be pushing it, but that's something that I'll test obviously more in depth as I use this as like my main driver for the next couple weeks, month or so. So if there's anything else that I missed about the S25 Ultra, let me know. The big improvements for me have definitely been the screen, that 0.1 inches. It makes a difference. Every little inch helps. I do definitely notice that. I do like the new ultra wide camera. On the downside, the S Pen, why they removed Bluetooth is definitely a shame. But let me know your thoughts down below. If you're picking one up, what color will you grab? And I will catch the rest of you for one of my next ones and any comparisons you want to see against this guy. Peace.